gonna get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back seat! Tell me where you are, John!
Wolfman's got Nards!
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be kicking off a new segment on the channel called the Best Of series, and that is basically about movies, good or bad. It doesn't have to be fantastic films, just all down general movies that I want to see the best in. And it will be some of my favourite films of all time as well that will be in this, all horror related of course. And I'll be breaking down all the best things about these films and really celebrating the movies, because we hear too much about the bad in a lot of films that I kind of want to avoid that in certain videos, because I know there are some movies that have got good and bad in them, but I really just want to talk about the good in some films, and I will be doing it for some bad movies as well, because there are some bad movies out there with really good moments in it, and I want to talk about the best of those as well. So I was thinking about doing the best videos, and then I was thinking about doing the worst of, but I don't really want to celebrate the worst of something, because that's not really fair on the filmmakers, because it is hard to make a movie at the end of the day. So I'm really just kicking off this Best Of series today, and the first movie I'm going to be talking about is The Faculty from 1998. Now, The Faculty is not your typical slasher movie from the late 90s. It's got that alien sci-fi vibe to it, which is obviously as a sci-fi horror at the end of the day. But what The Faculty does really well is it uses what's popular at the time, and that is the whodunit scenario in horror movies back in the late 90s. You get movies like Urban Legends, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Scream 2, etc. These are all movies that are slasher movies with teens in them, and it's all based around an unknown killer that's revealed at the end of the movie, and for the most part, they're successful. So The Faculty incorporates that into it. Not only is it this hip sci-fi movie, but it incorporates the whodunit in it. And when I say the whodunit, it's not who's killing people, it's who's the alien, who's the queen bee in the movie. So by incorporating that into what was popular at the time, it was a masterstroke for The Faculty. Next, we've got the actors in this movie. Now, this is a huge cast, and when I say a huge cast, when you look at this cast today, you would think, wow, this cast would cost a hell of a lot of money to round up. Obviously it didn't do back then, because half the actors were unknown at the time. When I say unknown, we still kind of knew who they were. You've got a mix of both though, which was great. You've got these mostly unknown teen actors that are coming into a role that were fantastic in, and then you've got the well-established adult actors that were all playing the teachers, like Robert Patrick, Jon Stewart, Salma Hayek. All these people combined into one was a masterstroke by Robert Rodriguez at the time, because I didn't know who half of them were, but I was loving who they were at the time, because I could resonate with all these actors because they were around about my age. But then you've got the older group of actors as well that you don't really get behind because you want them to die. But if you watch this movie as an adult, I watched it as a teen, and I could really resonate with the teens in it. But now that I'm an adult, not only could I still resonate with the teens, because I was a teen at the time, I could also resonate with the adults as well, which was absolutely bizarre. And speaking of the actors, let's talk about the characters in the movie. I think if you want a movie with really good character development, you have to look at The Faculty to really understand character development. And what they do perfectly in this one is they flesh out the characters straight from the beginning. We get to know what type of person each character is at the very start when they're introducing us to the main cast. You even get their name pop up at the beginning as well to tell us who they are, so you won't forget. And absolutely, I don't forget who they are because of what happens at the start of the movie. You know, you've got Casey, who's the geek. You've got Stan, who's the jock. You've got Delilah, who's like the cheerleader of the film. You get Zeke, who's the outcast but the cool kid. You've got Mary Elizabeth Louise Hutchison from Atlanta. She's that mysterious girl who's the newbie at the school. You don't know who she is. So all the characters, even the side characters, you get behind because you're like, I know what it's like to be them. Like, you've got Gabe, who's played by Usher. Well, he's that typical jock that you just want to hate in the movie, and he gets enough screen time to get invested in his character. One thing I love about The Faculty is the setting, the location of the movie. It's set in Ohio. I don't know if it was filmed in Ohio, but it's got that kind of isolated look and feel to it. And when it's daytime, it's that kind of musky, cool but yet warm breeze to it, which is really nice. But then when you get to the nighttime shots, I really love the nighttime shots at, say, Casey's house, or when they're running away from the school, and even near the end of the movie when it starts raining. I just love the look and the feel of the setting, and I think if you get the look and feel of the setting and the locations in your movies, it doesn't really matter if your movies are fantastic, as long as they're decent enough to look at. I think you can stay invested in the movie from beginning to end. One of my favourite things to do after watching a teen slasher movie of the late 90s would be to go out and buy the soundtrack for that movie, and The Faculty has got one of the best soundtracks in the 90s for me. I don't know half the bands, or I didn't know half the bands on the soundtrack when I first bought it, but listening to the soundtrack and watching the movie over and over again, I learned who half the bands were that I didn't know, and I absolutely loved the soundtrack as well. So it's got that really late 90s pop, rock, punk soundtrack to it. And also the score of the movie, I know it's done by Marco Beltrami, and it was reused in films like Halloween H2O, Scream and Scream 2. So we've obviously heard it before and it's very familiar. And I like that about The Faculty because it was familiar. You got that familiar vibe and sound to it with the score. When, say, Casey's running around the swimming pool when Stokely was taken in, you hear that dun, 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 dun. I can't really sing it obviously because it's a score, but you got that familiar sound that you've heard before in movies like Scream 2. So as much as it was repetitive, I absolutely loved the score as well. If you look at the script, it was so slick and meta, obviously thanks to Kevin Williamson, and again it's got that Halloween H2O, Scream 2 vibe to it. I know we did last summer, again all thanks to Kevin Williamson, but it really works in this one. It's so meta. I like it when the characters reference other movies and books within their movie, and they really utilise what these other movies do so that they can improve upon it. Like they talk about Independence Day, you know, if you were going to take over the world, would you take over the world Independence Day style or sneak in through the back door? You know, things like that. It really gets to you in a good way. They talk about Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it's almost like that with The Faculty, but they give it a different spin. Not in the way that they're repeating what Invasion of the Body Snatchers does, but do it their own slick way, and that's all thanks to the script. If we look at the antagonist, the alien, the Queen Bee in the movie, that's one of the best things about it as well. We didn't know who it was until the end of the film, and maybe some of you could have guessed who it was, and it was Mary Beth. She was the Queen Bee, the alien, and I liked that she had a weakness before we even knew that it was her. I liked that the aliens had a weakness. You know, they have to drink a lot of water to stay hydrated, and that's why they came to Earth, because there's a lot of water on Earth. So with the drugs that Zeke gives out, the drugs are diuretics, so it dries them out. So anytime the drugs are hitting or they're snorting or whatever, the drugs are going on top of these aliens, it's drying them out and killing them. It's a very simple and easy way to kill the aliens, so you're not backing yourself into a corner where there's no way to kill the aliens and they're going to take over the Earth regardless. And remember, it's teens that are having to save the world, so it's teens that are having to do something realistic in order to defeat the Queen Bee. So making the drugs scat the thing that kills her, it's funny, but it's also realistic in a way that a teen would be able to do and understand how to do it. If we look at the ending of The Faculty, I think it was a very satisfying conclusion to the end. Not only did they defeat the Queen alien, but life went back to normal. Some people died, unfortunately, but people who were turned were able to get turned back, because I loved most of the characters and I didn't want anyone to die, to be honest. So the characters that were turned, that were able to get turned back, was a satisfying conclusion for me. It also ended the movie as a one-off movie where that's it, it's just The Faculty, but it also left it open where if you do a sequel, then it would work. I wouldn't want a sequel because I think The Faculty works well on its own. If you want to reboot it, etc., then fair enough, but I think The Faculty works better as a singular movie, so I'm glad that they ended it in a way where it was a satisfying end. If we look back on all the characters, I would say that my best character would be Zeke. I think I wanted to be Zeke when I was younger. I wanted to drive a cool car. I wanted everyone to come to me for advice and to buy things off me, not illegal stuff. I also wanted to be smart like Zeke because he pretended that he wasn't smart and he repeated his senior year, but at the same time, he's a very smart person. He was a really cool chemist. He could do a lot of things that other people couldn't do. He was tall, he was handsome to the girls, and he had messy hair. Nobody wanted to do their hair perfectly because they couldn't get it done perfectly like they did in the movies, and I think that's something that Josh Hartnett was really good at, just messing up his hair for movies like The Faculty and H2O, being a realistic kid, a realistic teen back in the late 90s, and that's what I wanted to be, even after the movie. When I started to get money behind me, doing my paper round or getting a small part-time job, money that I got, I wanted to try and dress like Zeke as well, even though that was very American at the time, and you didn't dress like that in the UK. I just wanted to get his whole vibe and aura around him, I should say. So Zeke was definitely my favourite character. There's a lot of cool scenes in The Faculty, but I can't really dwindle it down to one of my best scenes. I think two scenes are equal to each other. I think the fight between the teacher, Mr. Furlong, and the teens just realising that yes, aliens are taking over the school. I think that's one of my favourite scenes. And also the drug test scene as well. It almost reminded me of, well, it does remind me of The Thing, where they don't know who's human and who's not. Similar to The Thing, where they've got the drug test. And in this one, they're obviously attributing The Thing in this, where they have to snort the scat to find out who's alien and who's human. I think that's a really good tense build-up scene. Some funny moments as well, but again, that's building up the characters for everyone in that room. So the Furlong scene and the drug test scene, they're both equal as the best scenes in the movie. So that's all for my best of The Faculty today, guys. If you've seen The Faculty and you like The Faculty, even if you didn't love The Faculty, leave what you like about The Faculty down below. Remember, this is the best of. There's no point in telling me what you didn't like about it, because that's not what we're here to talk about today. So if you loved The Faculty, if you liked The Faculty, if you hated The Faculty, leave your comments down below of what you loved about The Faculty, or what was the best moments about The Faculty. And as always, guys, thanks a lot for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Guaranteed to jack you.